Some dancers are remembered for a moment, a role, a performance, a single night where everything aligned. But there are others whose greatness is not built on one moment, but on something far more rare. Consistency. Night after night, role after role, year after year. And Marianela Nuñez is one of those artists. For more than 2 decades, Marianela Nuñez has been one of the defining ballerinas of the Royal Ballet. An artist admired not only for her technique, but for her musicality, intelligence, and remarkable consistency on stage. Born in Buenos Aires, she trained at the Teatro Colón Ballet School before moving to London as a teenager. She joined the Royal Ballet in 1998, and just 4 years later, was promoted to principal, at only 20 years old. Since then, she has built a career that is not only successful, but extraordinarily stable, performing the great classical roles across generations, while maintaining a level of excellence that very few dancers sustain for so long. With Marianela Nuñez, the first thing you notice is not a single step, but a sense of security. There is a feeling that everything is under control, that nothing is forced, nothing is uncertain, and that changes the way you watch her. Because instead of wondering if she will succeed, you begin to focus on how she chooses to dance. This is where her technique becomes something more than virtuosity. It becomes invisible. Her placement is clean. Her lines are precise. Her transitions are seamless. But none of it feels mechanical. There is always breath in the movement. Always a connection to the music, not just following it, but shaping it. And perhaps most importantly, there is consistency. Not one great performance, not one great season, but years of clarity, control, and artistic honesty on stage. And that is something far more rare than brilliance. Before we move into her more lyrical and dramatic roles, we have to begin with her fire. Kitri is one of the roles most closely associated with Marianela Nuñez, a role that reveals her speed, her precision, and her natural stage presence. What stands out is not just the technique, but the confidence. This is virtuosity, but without force. But Marianela Nuñez is not only a dancer of brilliance, her artistry becomes even more evident in roles that demand restraint. Swan Lake, and particularly the role of Odette, requires a completely different kind of presence. Less attack, less display, more control, more listening. With Nunez, what stands out is the structure beneath the softness. Nothing collapses, nothing fades. Every line is supported, every movement sustained. The arms are not decorative, they carry weight, intention, and direction. There is breath in the phrasing and time inside the movement. She does not rush the music, she allows it to unfold through her. If Kitri reveals her brilliance and Odette her control, Giselle reveals something more human. In the first act, everything appears light, joyful, almost effortless. But beneath that lightness, there is already a sense of fragility. And this is where Marianela Nuñez becomes particularly interesting. She does not overplay the innocence. She does not exaggerate the character. Instead, she keeps everything simple, clear, and musical. The footwork is precise, but never rushed. The jumps are light, but never empty. There is always a connection between movement and emotion, as if the choreography is not being performed, but discovered in the moment. And because of that, the character feels real, not idealized, but human. There is one more dimension to Marianela Nuñez's artistry, and it is perhaps the most difficult to define. At the Royal Ballet, style is not only about technique, it is about musical detail, character, and a deep understanding of tradition. And this is where Nunez feels completely at home. Across the many major roles she has performed throughout her career, there is a consistent sense of ease, of clarity, of natural elegance. Nothing is overdone. Nothing is forced. The movement is precise, but always alive. There is humor when it's needed, lightness when it's required, and refinement throughout. It is not only about dancing well. It is about understanding how to dance each role. So where does Marianela Nuñez sit within the legacy of the Royal Ballet? She is not simply a dancer of one era or one style. She represents something more continuous, a connection between tradition and the present. A dancer who has absorbed the values of the company, its musicality, its attention to detail, its respect for style, and carried them forward consistently over time. And perhaps that is why she stands out. Not because of one performance, but because of how often she reaches that level. In a profession built on peaks and moments, she has built something far more rare. A standard. In our recent Royal Ballet video, many of you pointed out her absence, and you were right. Because some artists don't simply belong in a ranking, they define the space around it. And Marianela Nuñez is one of them. If you enjoyed this, let me know which artist you'd like to see next. And if you'd like to support the project, sharing, commenting, or subscribing truly helps it grow. Thank you for watching. Until next deep dive.